All right, truth seekers. It is Friday, and yes, I am here live. Yes, I'm not a ghost. Yes, I broke. I didn't make a promise, but an announcement, and I still will keep to it. But I miss you guys, and I've been reading articles and different things, and I could not wait to make sure that I talk to y'all. So let's do a sound check. Put in the chat. Make sure you can hear me okay. Everything. And so that way we're doing what's up, Rebel Router, and I'll give a shout out to all of you from there. But anyway, put it in the chat. Sound check is okay, and we will move on as we continue to do this thing tonight and talk about an update. And of course, we're going to talk about a couple other things. But we're going to talk about an update on some articles that appeared about this deer zombie disease, and what they call it something else. And we'll get the chronic wasting disease or whatever from there. Outside of that, I hope you all have been having a great time, a great week this week, and I hope your week went really well for everything that you plan to do. And so I'm excited about that. And also, a few things in the mix. As you notice, I've been putting out different type of video, narration type videos, that's where I'm heading to create better stories and get better at it so that our content increase exponentially here. And then every once in a while, like now, come and do some lives to stay connected to everyone from there. Before we get into our primary story tonight, I would like to probably talk about, I saw an article that said something about the CIA were using or trying to build animal cats as spies. And I was like, how they doing that? And it was pretty interesting. So it was pretty interesting that they was talking about regular house cats being spies. And it blew me away because I'm sitting here like, okay, what are they talking about? Well, they're talking about having antennas in the cat's tail, microphones in their ears, and I don't think it was cameras or nothing, but some other kind of stuff in the bottom of their cheeks or whatever. But could you imagine they actually was doing this, and they was doing this quite some time ago, but your everyday house cat being a spy for the CIA? Google the article, you might find it. I use the Smart app, so that's where it came from. But I started thinking about it, cats being spies for the CIA, and it makes you start thinking about when people say birds are not real, pigeons and all those things. Now, I was totally against that because I'm like, no, I raised birds before. I had a pet store and I will raise not pigeons, but exotic birds. But it makes sense because now you can put a microphone and camera in a fake little bee, that's flying around. We've seen it in the movies. So maybe all pigeons are not real. Maybe there are some fake ones out there that have cameras in them. But for them to decide the cat and why not a dog, and I can imagine it wouldn't be a dog because the dog would probably stick too close to the human, and they really couldn't get anything. But a cat is pretty solitary, and most of these cats, I think, if you own a cat, probably sit across the room over and just watch your butt all day. And why wouldn't he be a great spy? He just sitting there with his tail wagging. But if you haven't heard about it, definitely go check that out and definitely do that. I think that's something that we can do. Yeah, I've been actually, this is a second of a half bottle, but I've been trying to drink a gallon of water per day, pretty much. All right. So another thing is, again, when we talk about this chronic wasting disease, you remember I've talked about this before. I've talked about the zombie disease bunkers and why haven't I been sticking up on this? Well, just this morning or yesterday, there was an article, and the article showed up saying that the CDC has said, let me read it. I think I have it here in my phone, and I was going to print it up, but it actually was talking about the CDC having not access, but saying that the deer zombie disease, it says CDC says deer zombie disease in Michigan, if you live in Michigan, have the capacity to spread to humans. You see, this is the part where everybody was talking about, because I have not heard of related cases. This is not something that we talk about, where I said that, when they did that missing 411, David Pilates, when he did that video, he pointed out specifically, go watch it, the third one that he did, the UFO connection. He said there was some unusual activity that the aliens or extraterrestrials were capturing mule or deer and elk, and that had these diseases, and thinking maybe because they are our protectors, we're trying to cure something. Now, the deer zombie disease or chronic wasting disease has been around since the 60s, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't be spreading. Now, what caught my attention, and I'll put this up, I think I put something on the screen here, is look at this map. Okay, it's a heat map, and it shows the concentrations of where and this is in 2023. But what concerns me the most is when you see spots like Texas, maybe Maine, Florida, these places that are so isolated where it's a cluster in a spot, and makes you, okay, you can see the red clusters. Maybe that's a contagion type situation. But when you see something down in Texas that's thousands of miles away and they got some there, how did they get there? How did the disease, if transfer through saliva, brain pores, spores, or whatever they're doing, how did it get all the way down to Texas? Now, all right, it takes a year or so, but that would mean the animal that's infected would have to have traveled all the way down to Texas, past many people shooting it, whatever, miles and miles of migration. And deer and elk do not migrate from state to state. They just don't do it. They may do it within some of these states, but not on a global fashion. So the question would be, how did it get there? How would it ultimately find itself at the tip of Florida? If you look a little bit, Louisiana, some parts of Texas, Mexico, and now the rest are more probably outbreaks. But if you're looking way in some of those states, all the way to the East Coast and way up there near Maine, and I don't know what that state is up there, but anyway, how would it have gotten there if it is something that's transmitted? So that is a question, and maybe some of y'all know. Maybe that's something you all would know when it comes down to a scenario, when it gets down there, and be my guest to put it in the chat, because at this point we have to see. Now, Van says this has been going on since last year, and hunters was advised to get deer tested and do, and so I was reading it. So now they're telling hunters, be prepared to test these deers. Now, because of this, they're talking about how it can be transmitted to humans because it gets in our food supply. I've eaten deer meat. I think, somebody said they did some hunting. And maybe in the way of videos I was watching, it may not be eradicated through some type of temperature, because it's not a virus and it's not a the other thing, and so it's a prison or something they call it, but it's not transmitted, that way, a virus versus cold and whatever I'm trying to say. Y'all got it. I'm off right now for that. So how did it get there? Now, is it anything nefarious? That would be the question, that we could ask ourselves. And I don't know. I'm not here to prove that. I'm just saying, when you start Prion, thank you. So thank you, C. Great. So when you start talking about these bunkers and all of this stuff, it's just start making sense, because other than that, it doesn't make sense what else they would want to go underground for, unless there's something on the above ground that will be, a problem that you would have to deal with. And, I want to go underground. So that's the only thing I can think of, except for some type of world order crap, right? Or, we got war breaking out and all this stuff, and people now going nuts, where you see these conspiratorial videos of Siri or Alexa talking about there will not be an election, and this crap. I don't know if it's made or whatever, we made the voice, but all those things. So I think it's something that you would have to think about and ask yourself when it comes down to that. So how did they get there, or what's going on with that? Now, I got some information. I went to the CDC website, And it's there. It's in plain sight. It's in English that it's a possibility. So why would people, ridicule the fact, oh, Roderick, blah, 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 or anybody that's talking about it? Now, I realized why it goes undetected. Because in the compass of the area of conspiracy theorists talking, or debunkers, or whatever you want to call it, we are giving it a name. We're giving it a name, the deer zombie disease, which is not a popular name. It's a made-up name because the deers are acting like zombies. But it does have a clinical name, which is the chronic wasting disease. When you go search that on YouTube, you see videos 9, 10 years old, 15, or 8, 7 years old that the news was talking about. So it was big back then when it happened, but it's less talked about today. And those are the things we like to cover here on High Strangeness, because when things are big when it happened and now it's less talked about, it's because maybe somebody don't want the future to know. And it's easily over the years to wash things out of public's eye just by, eliminating it through media coverages and everything else. And then eventually it gets just pushed down in the thread of life to what we deal with on a daily basis. So that's something I think. So I started looking at the CD site, and it reads as following. And it says the CWZ is a progressive fatal disease that affects the brain, spinal cord, and many other tissues of farm and free-ranging deer, elk, and moose. Now, what really caught my attention, and I think that I put this on here, and we'll get back to this, but let me bring this up. I want you to see right here where it says related links. Make sure y'all follow along. Go down to where you see the third link that says Critchophy, whatever, some German Jacob disease classic CJD. Now, this particular disease is associated with the chronic wasting disease. And when I started Googling it, it did have a case 3 years ago. Look, this guy has that CDC, CD or JD or whatever, which is associated with that. So there have been cases of the whatever scientific name in other countries, but not here when it comes down to what we're calling it. So I think that's something that is kind of one of those deals that you want to look at. But anyway, it says that the CWD belongs to a family of diseases called Prion diseases and of transmittal spongiform ephilococus, whatever the word is. But look it up. But it also talks about in cattle, sheep, goats, and that the CJD disease and other human prion disease in people, including a variant of mad cow disease, this infection is believed to be caused by abnormal proteins called prions, which are thought to cause the damage of normal prion proteins that can be found in tissues throughout the body, but most often the brain and spinal. Now, scientists think that now here's the deal, that the CWD spreads between animals through contact with contaminated body fluids and tissues, or indirectly through exposure to CWD in the environment, such as drinking water, food, and it also affects many other species, hoofed animals, elk, red deer, mule deer, white-tailed deer, and all of these things. So the good part and bad part, if it was a disease that when it hits, it affects somebody within days, then it's almost a way that you can kind of, eradicate it in such a way. Because if you was to isolate people, and if this thing caused infection and really goes to, making somebody unalive within days, then like the movie Outbreak, you can kind of follow it, because you would know if there's no infections or no new cases within days that maybe it's been eradicated. But like this Prion disease, the CWD have an incubation period of over a year and has clear neurological signs that may develop slowly. So they're saying that, with elk, reindeer, moose, anything with this CWD may not show any signs of disease for years after they have become infected. And so at this point, it can be in your food supply, possibly, and we wouldn't even know it. We wouldn't even know it. I found something else. And let me put this up here. And it's a YouTube video. It says the Alliance for Public Wildlife, this was in 2017, estimated that 7,000 to 15,000 CWD infected animals was eaten by humans. All right. So we might say, well, if that's happening, nobody's gotten it, it's not it. No, it's no different than what we know about what just happened in the pandemic, and certain people was affected and certain people wasn't. It may be blood types. It may be genetic makeups. It could be anything that triggers the fact that this, and it's just not entered it, just not. But that doesn't mean that it can't happen. And I'm not saying that it is happening, but it doesn't mean that it can't not happen. And I'm only, like I said, I only cover this and bringing it up because it's been an interest of mine ever since David Pilates put out his Missing 411. And in there, he showed that they showed, go in there. He shows images of, these space probes, not the spacecraft, but a probe from a mothership coming down, picking up the elk. And I don't think they were eating them. He said that he felt that they have realized years ago that this may be a problem. Now, that goes back to our whole thinking that Earth being this project planet, Earth being protected by, galactic federations, all of those things. It goes back to those moments to where you would think that would be the case. And so that's something that, why not think about? Why not think about that being the case, that they was here to protect us and everything else? All right. So we could look into that, and then we can kind of go to ourselves. All right, this is what we're going to do. Well, some of the things that includes it is drastic weight loss, stumbling, lack of coordination, listeningness, drooling, excessive thirst or urination, drooping of ears, and a lack of fear of people. So they're saying when they get to this point, it's a possibility that they could try to attack. Now, on the CDC site, we're talking November, as of November the 23rd, November 2023, which is what, 4 months ago. They're saying the CWC in free-ranging elk deer has been reported at least in 31 freaking states in the continental United States, as well as 3 provinces in Canada. In addition, the CWD has been reported in reindeer, fucking Santa Claus, or moose in Norway, Finland, Sweden, and a small number of imported cases has been reported in South Korea. And the disease has also been found in farm and deer and elk. Now, they're saying it was first identified in a captive deer in Colorado in the late 1960s, and wild deer in 1981. And by 1990s, it had been reported in surrounding northern Colorado and southern Wyoming. And since 2000, the area known affected as in free-ranging animals increased to 31 states. Like I said, I don't know how this thing will be at this point being affected in other places. And I'll put up this map again, and maybe some of y'all can answer that. But this map is showing that the fact that it's, now you can see the cluster. So you would think that could be an outbreak, right? Up there in the highly red shaded areas, because, all right, they're connected. Why not it be an outbreak? Well, how, and this is for y'all, how did it get down there in Texas and Florida? You see a little spot in Florida and all these other places where a deer, if it's transmitted from deer to deer, they didn't walk over there. They damn sure didn't walk over there. So how would they have done it? Anyone got any answers to that? Anybody want to throw in on the conversation? And I would give a shout out. I can go back. We don't have a lot of chats here, but Seagrave is in the house. Laura's in the house. Rebel Raiders in the house. Northern Downpour, Philly Cat, Van. And then we have Readers in the house with us, and as well as Summers in the house with her. Let's see. Faye is in the house with us, and Beginning Journeys. And let me just keep scrolling here until we already said Van. Ellie is in the house, and Edith is in the house with us. So I want to welcome each and one of y'all tonight for being here. Should we be concerned about it? I don't know. I just think it's interesting to talk about. And I wouldn't talk about it if it hadn't made the documentary of Missing 411 UFO Connection. And when I first saw that on the documentary last year or a year and a half ago, I was like, damn, okay, all right, cool. They're trying to save some stuff. But the fact that it actually is happening and everything else is coming about, the elite is doing crazy stuff that we need to look into, so I can only try to go into some type of, thinking, conspiratorial thinking of why would they be, spending all this money? Why are they buying bunkers? And maybe the question, and we're not asking the right questions. I'm not. Why would you need a bunker will be the question. To hide underground, to protect from maybe there was some kind of blast. Maybe there's some, stuff that's happening on the top. But for a massive effort like that, why would you need one? And so and maybe that's something we all need to research as truth seekers. What need would you have for a bunker? What does a bunker represent? Not represent, but constitute. What the purpose of this? Why would one need it in today's society? And if things come from apocalyptic type conversations, then we can then assume that we're not missing a boat when we start thinking about if something like this could happen. And now that it's growing and it's creeping, it's like a massive infection. It's not like it's spreading overnight like wildfire. It's a creep. It's a real slow creep. But could somebody have picked a deer up in one of the affected areas, transported down to another area, turned it loose? It's a perfectly good weapon. Because again, the digestion time of this thing is years. You wouldn't even know. You can set the plan in motion back in 2021, and nobody would know until 2024 when it's now implemented and it has now infected 20 other ones and 30 other ones. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know that your cousin Mike, who shot a deer last spring and brought the deer meat over to the crib raw, and you cooked it, and maybe you didn't cook it at the right temperature, and it did say it's not a virus and it's not a what's the other thing? You get the cold is a virus and one is the other. Y'all help me out with this. But it's not, and so therefore it's not going to get killed by extreme temperatures. You get what I'm saying? And so yeah, we don't know. And maybe it's slow rolling in humans. Maybe when it hits into a human effect, it may take 20 years. And we're calling it Alzheimer's or something. I don't know. But it's worth looking into the why. And that's what I'm concerned with. And those are one of the things there. So bacteria infection, I don't know. I know a cold is one thing and another disease is another. I mean, one can be handled with antibiotics and the other one cannot, right? So I forget the viral versus or maybe viral versus infection. That's maybe the two I'm thinking about. An infection versus viral or something. All right. Rebel said the hunters transferred intact heads on other trophy items that carry CWD in Tennessee, and we have strictly controlled guidelines and transportations of bones and material. See, these things are in place. There you go. These things are in place, and so therefore they know something. They're already trying to prevent the fact that they don't want it, spreading anywhere. So that's another part. Also, it says that it is possible that the CWD may also occur in other states with strong animal surveillance systems, but the cases haven't been detected yet. And once CWD is established in an area, the risk can remain for a long time in the environment, and the affected areas are likely to continue to expand. Nationwide, the overall occurrences of CWD in free-ranging deer and elk is relatively low. However, in several locations where the disease is established, infection rates exceed 10%, 1 in every 10. That's a lot, y'all. and local infection rates are more than 25%, 1 in 4, have been reported. Now, the infection rates among captive deer can be much higher, with the rate of 79%, nearly 4 in every 5 reported to be in a captive herd. And that's totally understandable, by the way, because once you think about that, a captive herd is going to be consolidated. They're going to be on a ranch, maybe confined to some acreage, 10, 20 acres, where a free-range deer can go 100 acres away from each other and never come in contact with each other. So that could be the case, and who knows from there. Now, we can get into, I printed up where it's called transmission. How could it be transmitted? Now, scientists believe that CWD proteins, prions, are likely to spread between animals through body fluid like feces, saliva, blood, urine, and even through direct contact or indirectly through environmental contaminations of soil, food, and water. But once introduced into the area of a farm, the CWD protein is contagious within deer elk population and can spread quickly. And experts. Why am I talking about this? I know y'all probably said we want to talk about some aliens and extraterrestrial. Well, it ties into the aliens. It ties into the aliens, and it ties into the elite. It ties into the folklore of what could be happening. And I'm still trying to get down to the bottom. I want to know why the fucking people are building bunkers. I want to know. I mean, I don't have a bunker. Any of y'all got one? I would like one if everybody else need one. I need to do that. Or maybe we all start together and start digging a big hole, and we can build one for the truth seekers community. We could probably do so. We really can. I think we could. Faye says the CDC highly contagious and curable disease that affects deer, elk, and species 12 disease was detected in 2012 in free-ranging mule deer in West Texas. All right, well, there we go. The aliens supposedly picked up the big elk with wasting disease where the one guy went missing. Aaron Rodgers or who? Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. It's out there. It's happening. And if they are galactic protectors, why wouldn't they be examining this? And why wouldn't they have the technology to cure something like that if it's going to affect us all? I don't know. I don't think it's about money. I don't think somebody implanted that thing out there for that. But if it affects over humans, it would. I think I talked to y'all about, that video I showed. In fact, I still got one, but I showed y'all some videos about the deer zombie disease. I think I did, where we had some clips and things. Here's one.
This right here is going on. Yeah, so this is still happening. So now we got some cops rolling up here. There's this shit right here. That's some wild business. Anyway, see the wrong motherfucker.
Now, I'm not saying she has that. I think we all determined that she just may have some issues going on. Her issues got issues. But I would assume that if it was something that we need to see and look like, it will probably look like something like that. And hopefully she had gotten some help and everything. But just to show the actions, and whoever did the video, I didn't do it, but they can kind of compare her movement to the deer zombie disease and all of that stuff. So again, I'm not saying that those two are combined. Her situation is there, but you would assume that maybe that's what it would look like, and we would know if the time comes. So the transmission of it, scientist says that once again through soil, water, and once it's introduced. Now, they also said the CWD prion has been shown to experimentally, listen to what I'm saying, experimentally, meaning somebody's testing with this stuff and could it have gotten out, infected squirrel monkeys and also laboratory mice that carry some human genes. Just to know that they got mice out there with human genes, let you know how freaking smart a freaking mouse is anyway. Have you ever tried to go up against a mouse and catch one in plain sight? This thing knows how to hide. It darts. It moves quickly. You ever heard the term "as cautious as a mouse"? or or as quiet as a mouse or whatever. And so if they already experiment with this, that is crazy enough that we have to do that. So I think that's something that we want to look at as well. As you all know, I have already thanked some people that have participated in my birthday gifting. And that list is actually a little longer. I need to update it now. There's a few people who have done that. And I want to just really thank you all because it is one of the most talked about units out there and people are using it, creating some great content. Now, the link is up there in the description if you still want to. Now that people are in demand, the price then went off the square roof. Everybody's ordering it and it's delays. And what was now $700, $800 is people selling them. It's just crazy. But it is a new, and if you are into content creating, I suggest that you try to get you one and use it. It's really, you don't need too many other camera systems other than that. But anyway, if you were to choose to support it, you could. If you want to support the show tonight and show any love, then you can do that right here at the bottom of the screen, the Cash App there. I might open up the phone lines if anyone want to jump in, or either jump in on the phones or maybe hop in on the camera. We may just do that as well. Let me see a couple other people, want to hop in and talk about some stuff, Yeah, we will see. But anyway, I think it's one of those things to really, once again, to do some thinking and stuff as well. All right. I'll just put that. Yeah. So anyway, I think, we could literally begin to, like I say, watch the signs. Now, this week, I had signed up for a preparedness class. This class, people were running a Facebook ad here in Dallas on how to build a bug out bag. Now, I'm gonna admit to you all, as much as I talk about that, and I went to this class where they were telling people about it. It was about 30 something people there, maybe a couple of African Americans. And what difference did that make at this point? But man, they was making so much sense on some things that I have not talked to y'all about when I talk about this. And although I may make it, associated with apocalyptic things, they were tying it back into real life scenarios, which was true. If you thought about the pandemic, how when people, went for the run for the stores and they was taking, all of the toilet paper, all of these things, those bug out bags, you have stuff like that run on the food shelves. And they start giving statistics of Dallas and how the infrastructure of Dallas is behind 30 years on the highways. And when we go through traffic, just traffic on a daily basis, how most people are caught in traffic. The guy started demonstrating, what if this was an emergency and everybody, millions trying to get away? You can't get away. He started talking about what I don't talk to you all about, and I should, that just happened the other day. We had, all these cell phones going down, and they went down, and people are now rumoring that it was possibly a solar flare that knocked it out. A solar flare, out of all things, knocked out cell phone connections. But yet we've been threatened with cyber threats and all these things. But what if, just like people was experiencing the other day, it happens in a traditional form? You don't have no way of communicating. If it's EMP, the cars don't work. Gas stations will be out of gas. And he was teaching people, he was like, you're going to have to walk. So your bug out bag need to be light, or you're going to have food rations for a couple of days. Then he started making so much sense that it is not about the people that prepare. It's what are you going to do when people who are not prepared because they don't believe to be ready now sees you and they want your food, they want your stuff, you have you out in the open, and it's just so much, man. It was so crazy that it was just incredible. So I took notes, and I'm like, I got to change my conversations, not to just to offer the product at my site, preparednesslife.com, but to make people understand it happens in real time. And this stuff is real. And if we were to have stuff, and he was talking about these last floods and how people were just not prepared. And if you had to stay in your house and the refrigerators go down, all of this electricity stuff, the food is going to spoil. You have to have those things, and water is going to be. And he started telling me, he was like, Roderick, there's a 3-3-3. And I may get it right. He said you can live for 3 minutes without air, 3 days without shelter, 3 weeks without food, and 3 something. And he was saying, he was like, you got to plan for that kind of stuff. And most of your bug out bags is going to give you the shelter and things for 3 days. So I'm going to get back into that. I think it's something that, and I'm not going to tell you that you want to get a license to carry, but I would assume that he talked about all these people preparing with these AR rifles, and they want to, he was like, no, he said that he was saying that the ammo and the rifles themselves, all that stuff, once you start packing that on your backpacks and you're trying to get out there and walk, it gets heavy as crap. They even have military people there, and it was like, it's heavy. You get your small gun and get you something that you have a couple of magazines. He said, you don't need no more than 30, 40. He said, if you need 50, 30, 50, 100 rounds of ammo, he said, you don't need to be trying to defend. You need to be running. Man, I was blown away. But I knew I was on point, but I was blown a freaking away. And those are the things I would tell you when it comes down to that, right off the bat. Right off the bat, But anyway, anybody, I'm open up the call-in line. Anybody want to get on the call-in line, or I need to find out where my couple is. Where Helen and my guy, Charles. We haven't talked to them in a while. I'm going to send them a text and see where are you guys. Let's see. We are live. We'll find out where they are so we can get them on with us. So, yeah. Rebels, I got 2,000 rounds and rounds for my other caliber weapon. So I'll bug in. Yeah. Now, if you're going to bug in, he did say that. There is a difference between, putting yourself in. And then it woke me up, too, as a personal guy, being personal, because I'm in no shape to be walking up 50 fucking miles. If I had to walk or get out the car, because the EMP, he was like get maps and stuff that, off-road maps that you can take routes, not through highways and everything. He's like, avoid people. People are going to be after each other. They're going to be wanting things, and, it was just so real. And the possibilities of it was so there. And past events that already happened where we experienced that, people run into the stores, but what if it was a run on food? He was like, you don't want to be in a Walmart if something like this happens again. You don't want to do that. We already seen how the stores and people were fighting over toilet paper and all of those things. And so all of that was just as real as it get when it comes down to those things. But anyway, I got a website, preparednesslife.com. preparednesslife.com. We're going to be adding other stuff. I don't know what to tell y'all, but I'm not going to no longer wrap it around some zombie apocalypse so that, people not take it serious. But I will say to be prepared. And like, I got one here and I got one in the car. But, are people prepared for themselves? I don't know. Yeah, Damon said live. Yeah. I still don't get the toilet paper thing. Well, nobody wanted a stinky behind. I don't know. But whatever it is. And he talked about batteries. He was like, batteries around Christmas time, AA and AAA batteries are the most sold out things. And make sure you keep a couple of those. Credit cards ain't going to work. Cash, make sure small bills, fives, maybe $200 in fives. That may work. So these are things that you want to prepare in case something happens. But it was really real to kind of see all of those things and put things together. So back to what we was reading about, pretty much. But anyway, I may open up to the some people need batteries all the time. You funny, man. You funny. I may put the phone lines up. Anybody want to join me, let me know. And we can talk about some of this stuff. If we can keep the topics where we need to be tonight, then we can do that. I'm trying not to jump off, like I would normally do on a tangent. I haven't been here in a while, but if y'all have been seeing some of the new videos I'm putting out, I'm trying to create longer forms right now, but it's hard enough editing for days just to create 15 minutes of a video, but we're doing it. Van said, I can't tonight. I'm emotional. All right. Well, hey, I get it. Yeah, I get it. Now, that's something there. I'll go off topic, so I'll stay still. Oh, you know what? Y'all be having excuses. Excuses like behind. Everybody got one, and they all stink. Y'all some weird folks. Y'all not weird. I love y'all, but y'all be so coming up with them excuses. See my grapes? I'm gonna eat the grapes. But yeah, I mean, it's all right. I can hold my own though. I'm gonna hold my own because I can. I can definitely do that without a shadow of a doubt. Why not? And yeah, I know. I said it. I said stay on topic. Well, what would you talk about anyway? If we got off topic, what would you talk about? What would it be? From there. So let me continue. The CDC says there's a study that, check this out. In addition to the study began in 2009 by Canadian and German scientists, which has not been published in the scientific literature, is evaluating where CWD can be transmitted through macaques, those are monkeys, a type of monkey that is genetically closer to people than any other animal that has been infected with CWD previously. And on July 10th, 2017, the scientists presented a summary of study of progress in which they showed that the CWD was transmitted to monkeys that was fed infected fucking meat, muscle tissue, and brain tissue from deer and elk. Did y'all hear what I just said? It's right there on their website. They did a test with monkeys that he told me he seen a man with a bunnet. Oh my God. All right. They did a test with monkeys, like those, whatever, macaque monkeys or whatever, that resembling humans, the monkeys that genetically has the closest relationship to humans, and in which they showed that in a recorded presentation, that the chronic wasting disease was transmitted to the monkeys that were fed infected meat, which was muscle tissue or brain tissue from a CWD infected deer and elk. All right. Charles, y'all called me. I was trying to call. I just text you and Helen. We're talking about some updates on this zombie or chronic wasting disease. So we're talking about that. But anyway, so they're saying that the meat, that it was infected, and that some of the meat came from an asthmatic deer that had CWD, and the deer appeared to be healthy and had not even begun to show signs of illness yet. And meat from these asthmatic deers was able to infect the fucking monkeys. I stopped my case. I stopped the case because right there, y'all, there was people, talking about, hey man, you spreading this or you talking that. I don't spread anything. Let's see what we got. Hold on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're right.
All right. Well, you on
Yeah,
air.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's going on, Mr. Charles?
What's going on, Roderick?
Nothing. You know what? Look, I did the last time I did the live stream, which was going to be the last time I was doing live streaming. There was a lot of people in the chat saying, where are Helen and Charles? They was like, we need a update.
You serious?
Mm-hmm. They were like the Helen and Charles Chronicles and shit. What's going on?
Look, she just called me and told me that you were asking for me.
Yep.
For us. I'm trying to see you on the TV. I don't know what I did. I did something wrong.
But we're talking about the CWD, which is the chronic wasting disease, which, I've been talking about the zombie disease for quite some time and why people building bunkers and just all of this stuff. But the CDC published not long ago now saying Michigan is high at it, and it is possible that it can move into humans. It made the article. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Hold on. 1 second. Let me get you back here. Hold on, Charles. My bad. Can you hear me now? All right. Can you hear me now? All right. Hold on. Can you hear me now? Hello? Boy, ain't we playing? Yeah, you should be able to hear me now, right? You can't hear me? You couldn't hear me, right?
You can't see me.
You say y'all can't see me? Oh, hold on a minute. All right. I had to put you back on my speakerphone. So can you hear me at all?
He probably can't hear you because your phone is messing.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah.
Can you? I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. All right, hang on.
I'm gonna go into the other room.
All right. What? Wait. Hey, wait a minute. Where y'all webcam at?
Okay, hold on.
Text me your email. I'm gonna send y'all a link to hop on live.
Oh, she's in class.
Oh, okay. Yeah, tell her they was asking about y'all. So
They've been asking. Everybody's been asking about me.
all right. So
okay. Right, she's in class. Okay.
All right.
She's in class on the computer.
All right. Well, that's cool. When y'all get off, you can go back in the room, and then when y'all ready, let me know. I'll send y'all a link. Y'all hop on.
Okay.
That way you don't get in no trouble talking about yourself.
Okay. You said you're gonna send me an email.
Yeah. Text me your email address, and then I'll send you a link to hop on with the camera.
Okay.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will do that. So, like I was just reading, again, like they said that this thing can be transmitted. It just, now are we waiting for a ticking time bomb because it hadn't happened yet? Or what? Well, they're saying that it can. They did. And what if it has? And all these people are preparing. We don't know. We really don't know. Why not? Would it be something crazy? Who knows? So we just got to kind of, look at it from that standpoint. Any other comments? Anyone of y'all else got something y'all want to say? I can still eat meat, but that's like 2 to 3 per week. Only organic. They don't give a damn. Organic, they still they could easily infect a cow out there. Organic doesn't mean that he can't be affected, right? Yeah. It's February 24 right now with a full moon. All right. So I'm just saying that it's possible. I'm not saying that it is, but right here, you can go to cdc.com.org, go to the chronic wasting disease, and it says right now that now they are saying there was a study and different results from a previous study published in the Journal of Virology in 2018, which has not shown successful transmission of CWD into the macaque monkeys. But the reason for the different experiment results are unknown. To this date, there is no strong evidence of occurrence of CWD in people, and it's not known if people can get infected with the prions. But nevertheless, the experiment study raised concerns that the CDC may pose a risk to people and suggest that it's important to prevent human exposure. And they already have. This was reviewed in 2021, and we're in 2024, people. We're in 2024. I don't know if pigs can get it. Then I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I really don't know if pigs or whatever can get it. I think it's one of those things. I mean, it's crazy. It's definitely a crazy story. It's definitely something that is crazy for us to think about. And like I said, if you go back to David Pilates' Missing 411 connection, he talked about it. And that's what connected the dots for me. That's what really had me to consider what the possibilities were, because the fact that this guy was talking about it in his documentary and showed or provided evidence that it was going on out there in the national forest. So if it's going on out there and they out there and this is where they hang out, it's quite a possible that, the possibilities are there. And like I said, I'm not verifying it. I'm not stamping my stamp of approval that this is that. But if it's already on the websites, if they already done studies, then like I said, until somebody can tell me the exactly reasons why the elite people are building bunkers, then I don't know. I'm gonna speculate as fuck, all across the board until I can figure out what the hell is going on and why they're building these damn things, except for some possibility of something happen above ground. I don't think it's just toys that they need to be doing. Yeah, Faye, I guess you could grow your own food, but that would work. You're not gonna, unless you grow your own meat, but that still might not happen either, because it could be airborne, it could be in the water when you fetch the water, it could be bird dropping, a bird ate something and then the dropping falls out of the bird and drops into the water of the tank of your animals on your farm, and now they drinking tainted water. The transmission is out there in many ways, in many ways. So I think it's one of those things. So Nina's Life says, I would imagine soon animals and bugs would pass some disease to vegetation. Yeah, that spread some new human illness, and we can't eat anything unless it's from a lab. Well, I think they would. I think they would probably do that, and pretty much. Charles says, you're about the werewolf when you get bit, and are you eating meat that contaminated? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's no different. I think Ducky says, always eat my garden. Yeah, I mean, y'all talking about gardens. Y'all thinking nothing can get into vegetables or something? I'm sure it could. I'm sure it's possible that it could get into, vegetables. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say that's not going to go down. I don't know how it would, but I'm just saying we don't know. Depends on how stuff is transmitted from that point. But I think, like I said, if we get into our community, then it's definitely worth talking about when you get to the notion of your home place should be 30 minimum feet down. Well, why? I guess anything on the ground would do, but why? You could just brush your teeth. You ain't lying. This little thing could be contaminated, and all of a sudden we don't know. Oh, nuclear blast? Oh, through dirt? Well, I guess they would. This grate could be contaminated. I don't doubt. One bit. We have to look at all those scenarios and pretty much from there.